Hello guys and welcome to the Round 19 NRL tips and predictions. We're into it. I feel like absolute but we'll go into it. Just a bit of hindsight in terms of the team list. This is actually being recorded and edited on the Monday, when usually this goes out on the Tuesday. It's because I'll be in Melbourne from Monday to Wednesday, so obviously I can't just record this and upload it because hotel internet will be probably expensive. So if I don't get any of the team lists right, which probably won't because it won't come out till Tuesday, so it's all substantial. So that's kind of the only bit of like a side note for this. But anyways, let's just get into it. So the Thursday game for us in the NRL is the Parramatta Eels against the Brisbane Broncos, which is a huge game. 5th versus 6th, and basically either team can jump in themselves into 4th place. Obviously, depending on what happens with Melbourne later on this week. But so Parramatta, in their previous game, did get a bit of a gutsy win against the Warriors. They did kind of put their foot off the brake in the end, allowing the Warriors to make it a bit closer. The Broncos did get a win as well. The baby Broncos in a very tight game against the Gold Coast Titans. So, yeah, currently looking into this game, it's Parramatta currently are the favourites, but it's just with the way Parramatta, they got themselves up into like a 20-point lead, and they just somewhat like took their foot off the brake. No, to put their foot on the brake or off the accelerator. I know about cars, and basically allowed the Warriors into that game. Obviously, the game was already over by then, but I feel like you can't do that to a team like the Broncos, and it's just I think Parramatta are a little bit lacking like a sort of like driving force to put games to bed. So for this game, I'm actually going to predict that the Brisbane Broncos will take this win. It's just I just think they're going to be it's going to be a close game, but I think Brisbane will be able to take out this result. Now we go on to the first game on the Friday night, and this also kind of is a big game for a charge for the bottom spots in the finals, as the St George Dragons host the Manly Sea Eagles. Now, St George Dragons, they conceded 50 points in a 56-28 loss to the Roosters. And we all know the stat. I don't want to get into it because it gets annoying after repeated viewings. Manly did get a solid win against the Knights. They didn't let the Knights back into the game because, one, it's the Knights, and, they probably would have switched on at this point. But, this game does have some level of importance because, if the Dragons do win this, they actually can jump as high as 9th place, depending on, how Canberra and the Roosters later go. And a win here for Manly will put them on the same points as South Sydney, obviously having to wait until what happens in terms of the results of the later matches. So for this game, I feel like, and it isn't at Wynn Stadium, it's at Cogra. I think Manly will be too strong for the Dragons, so I think it should be a solid win for Manly, and they could try to make an even bigger of a gap between 8th and the bottom 8. So try to solidify the finals as is. And now we go to the final game of the Friday night, and it's the Newcastle Knights against the Sydney Roosters. The Knights have got a primetime game. Holy shit. But of course, it's when the Knights are crap. So, Newcastle Knights lost 42 points to 12 to Manly. The Knights are now down to 13, so they are officially in the bottom 4. I think it's pretty obvious the Knights are not making the finals. The Roosters currently sitting in 9th place. They did get that big win against the Dragons. It's I definitely do think the Roosters will win. I'm just trying to see. So if the Roosters do win, I believe with the Roosters winning, and even if Manly win, the Roosters, because they have more of a better points difference, they will jump Manly and go into the oh wait, no, they can't. So if the Roosters win and Manly lose, the Roosters will go into the top 8, but if Manly win, the Roosters will stay in 9th place. So yeah, my mistake, I got that one right. But yeah, I still think the Roosters should have a big win. Now we go into the first game on Saturday, and it is the Canberra Raiders up against the New Zealand Warriors. New Zealand Warriors, unfortunately, did have that game against... Did have not a great performance against Parramatta. They did end up getting a couple tries right near the end of the game, but obviously it was too little too late. Canberra, on the other hand, with a massive win against Melbourne, down in Melbourne. Believe being the first team to beat Melbourne in Melbourne since Parramatta. So, yeah, it's a very big win for Canberra to really galvanise them for the finals. There's currently a 6-point gap between the Warriors and between Warriors in 12th and 11th place in the Dragons. So, I think it's pretty certain to say the Warriors probably won't make the finals. But I will say here, a win for Canberra, which I am going to predict. This will take up to 20 points and will make them go over the Roosters. It obviously depends on the Roosters and Manly. So they probably, at worst they could go to 11th. Probably at best they could go to 9th. So obviously I think the Raiders will get the win here, and if they can continue their charge to try to get into the finals. Now we go to the 5:30 game on the Saturday, and it is the Penrith Panthers up against the Cronulla Sharks. First versus third, another top 4 clash for Cronulla after beating the Cowboys last week. Penrith, with a grit of their teeth again with their B team, did beat the West Tigers. I mean, the Origin boys will come back for Penrith. They'll be too good, unfortunately. So Penrith will take the win. I'll just say there. I think it's going to be fairly obvious. And now we go into the final game on the Saturday, and it's the South Sydney Rabbitohs up against the Melbourne Storm. Now, South Sydney have been getting a good couple of wins in the last couple of weeks, especially last week's win against the Bulldogs. However, now they play a team who's actually in the finals. So, but then again, Melbourne have lost their last 3, and potentially Pappenhausen, as far as I've heard, could be out for the rest of the season. As far as I know, I'm not too sure what's happening. Probably I could put in the comments about what actually has happened. But I don't know. This is definitely the game for South Sydney to actually prove themselves to being of, like, people considering them a genuine title threat. And so with that, I'm actually going to give South Sydney the win here. I think they will be able to galvanise and actually prove to the other teams that they are an actual threat for this title. I think a win here will jump them up to probably 5th, depending on how Brisbane and Parra go. So yeah, so it's looking a bit crowded in the middle part of the top 8. So yep, gonna give the South the win. Now we go to the Sunday game, and first match at 2 p.m. and it is the Canterbury Bulldogs up against the Gold Coast Titans. 14th against 15th, a real spoon bowl 2, if you will. By the way it's looking. So obviously the Titans last week, they had a very, very good game against the Broncos, but the Broncos were able to hang on. And the Bulldogs also had a good game as well against the Rabbitohs, but the Rabbitohs were able to run away with it the last 10 minutes. So in terms of this game, it's hard. Like this could be a game where the Bulldogs run out and have their usual, like the performance of the last siblings, like against Parramatta. But the Titans could also run away with it. It's a very hard game to predict. I'm going to go for the Bulldogs to take this win here. Really not much to say. This win for the Bulldogs, actually, if my other predictions do come true with the Knights and the Warriors losing, this will actually jump the Bulldogs up to 12th. Which is kind of mental to think about, the Knights being in 14th. But yeah, that's what I'm going to go with in terms of my predictions. And now going into the final game of this round at 4 p.m. on the Sunday, it is the North Queensland Cowboys up against the West Tigers. The Tigers did have a close game against the Panthers B team, but Panthers were able to get a try in the last 10 minutes and hold on. The Cowboys had a bit of a shaky game against Cronulla. Obviously, they did have a few players out because of Origin, and the Sharks were able to get the win. So, with the Cowboys players coming back, I think it should be very obvious for a solid Cowboys win here. I don't think it really shouldn't be that much of a shock. And that's going to be the end of the video there. What do you guys think? Do you guys differ? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all later.